Day 5, Erin the Quitter. I'm feeling fantastic about everything that's been happening. I have done so much this week. I've worked in the yard, I've worked on myself, I've bathed the dog, I've worked on the house, I've studied, I've reflected. Um, it's been a really great journey. I am not 100% sure if I've learned anything this week or not. I probably have, and I just don't realize it. But some of the things that I have enjoyed this week were all of the home cooked meals that I made for my children and my husband. Getting my hands dirty. It's been a long time since I've had enough time to really do a project start to finish. Usually it's a little bit at a time each weekend, and you can't ever really keep up with it at that point. I mean, by the time you get back to it, the weeds have come in, and so that's been really rewarding, I guess. I did a 10-foot bed this week that's just, hopefully, is just going to come back every year and be a really nice addition to the side yard. I mowed the yard today after I finished that, so that hopefully my husband doesn't have to do too much this weekend, so just trying to help out some. I have cleaned and organized, working on my daughter's bedroom right now. She's 3, so there's stuff everywhere, and she's got it all hidden away in little drawers and stuff, so trying to put it all back together and make it make sense. And hopefully once it's organized, we can do a better job of keeping it that way. I have really enjoyed the downtime. I think that next week I won't have as much downtime. I've got to get going on the bettering myself, making myself more marketable. I've been reading a book on leadership, and which is one of the things I've actually been reflecting on since I quit, is how can you really guarantee that you're going to get a good leader when you take a job? In the interview process, they say, do you have any questions? And you don't want to overstep, I guess, but how do you phrase questions in such a way that you can figure out if that leader is going to support you, protect you, develop you, all of these things that make you better in the end? Because I felt like a lot of the leaderships that I've had in the past at several companies tend to really just kind of be out for themselves. I'm not saying that they haven't always tried to protect or all of those things, but there's never time for development because they have you so slammed with everything that you're working on. There's not really time for learning the next roll up, again, because you're just slammed with everything. The only job that I've ever had where they worked on my development was my very first job that I took after college. And I was there for almost 10 years before I was laid off. And I went from an analyst to a senior analyst to a manager to a senior manager. And I was really making progress at that company, and I was so excited. And then we got a new CEO, and he said, all senior managers cut. It's too much middle management. And I lost my job. It didn't matter that I was doing good. It didn't matter that I was getting promotions. It didn't matter that I was making a name for myself there. I had the title senior manager, and I was gone. And ever since then, I've not found a place that kind of does that. I've been promoted, but not to any kind of management level. And I guess part of what I'm getting at is one of the books that I'm reading right now is about leadership and being the best leader you can be. And it really does talk about developing people and leading them to greatness. And I can't say that any of my recent leaders have led me to greatness in the past couple of jobs. And it's disappointing. So again, the question is, how do you make that happen? How do you figure out if that person is going to do that for you when you take that new role? And I mean, if you've got questions, suggestions, I'd be glad to hear them. Oh, sorry. My dog tried to get a chicken. They're not my chickens. But the chicken got away. The chicken is safe. Anyways, he's apparently not as exhausted as I thought he was. I've been walking him so much and working him in the yard and things. He's just passes out as soon as he hits the kitchen. But apparently not too exhausted to chase chickens. Anyways, so getting back to it, that's something that I'm going to make a list of. I've been Googling it, and I'm going to make a list of questions that on my next interview, whenever that is, I would really like to get to the bottom of what does that leadership look like at that company, and what are the efforts that are made to make sure that you're being developed and promoted. And it's not necessarily that I absolutely want to be promoted. I sometimes could care less if I like my job, do I necessarily want to go up to the next rung? But if the opportunity is there and they see something in me that they can develop, why not take the chance and help me do that? Because I might not even know that I want to do it, Anyways, besides the point. So things I've learned this week are, I really do like the rewarding aspect of hands-on projects. I already knew that. I knew that about myself. I knew that about gardening. I knew that about crafting. I knew that about cooking. All of that is, I think most people feel that way when you can accomplish something with your hands. I really like the movement. I like having time for myself. Is that always going to be available when you're working full-time? Probably not. And I can accept that. But I did work at a company one time where they encouraged you to go for a walk every day. They literally asked you to block time on your calendar to take a walk every day. And they had a competition where the person with like the most steps at the end of the month would get a gift certificate. And that was something that was amazing. And I have missed that since I worked there. So that was one company back. And I think that made me feel like I had freedom, because they said take time for yourself in the middle of the workday when you're not having to worry about going to pick up children. Even though there's a deadline, you still need to go take a walk. And I thought that it developed a really good community within the office. But COVID made everybody work from home for that company. And so we lost a little bit of that, because I think everybody felt like, of course, you have to be online and be accounted for and everything. And so that changed that dynamic there, but did not change the company for me. It was just something that changed with COVID. So next week, I think that I'm going to get a little bit more of a structure going for my schedule. I've just kind of been letting myself go with the flow right now. Again, all these things I just wanted to get done. and take time for myself. So I think next week is going to be a little bit more structured. I'd like to start making some lists. I'd like to really figure out what I want to do for learning something. And I don't know, any suggestions of good online resources for maybe free apps and things like, not apps, free learning resources. I don't necessarily need it to be free, but I think a good starting point would be free, just so I can kind of get my toe in the water and see if it's something that I want. And then from there, maybe get a better plan in place once I kind of say, yes, that was something I enjoyed learning about and I would like to expand on it. And one of my recent videos I watched was a TED Talk, and basically just said at least spend 30 minutes a day learning something about a topic and you'll be an expert. And so I of course have more than 30 minutes, so I would like to make sure that I'm doing that so that I can develop myself. Again, going back to that leadership, I'm going to be my own leader right now and concentrate on making myself better. I guess that's it for today. I don't want to run on too long, but anyways, thanks for listening. I quit.